My dad called us into the living room on a Tuesday night. I was on the floor playing a game on my phone. Matt was on the couch. Emma was at the table doing homework. Dad stood in the middle of the room. Mom stood near the door to the kitchen. She wasn't looking at any of us. She was looking at the carpet. Dad said, "Things are going to change starting tomorrow." I kept playing my game. Matt didn't look up from his phone. Emma stopped writing. Dad said, "You three eat too much. You don't appreciate what you're given. So from now on, you don't eat until you prove you deserve it." I looked up. What does that mean? Dad walked to the kitchen. We followed him. He opened the refrigerator and showed us a padlock on a metal hasp. The hasp was screwed into the fridge door and the side of the fridge. The lock was silver and heavy. He walked to the pantry. There was a combination lock on the door. The hasp was screwed into the door frame with screws that had flat heads you couldn't turn with a normal screwdriver. Dad said, "No breakfast, no lunch, no dinner. You get water from the tap. That's it." Emma said, "Dad, I'm hungry right now." Dad said, "Then be hungry." He went back to the living room and sat in his chair. Mom followed him. She still hadn't said anything. Matt looked at me. He didn't say anything either, but his jaw was tight. I went to my room and closed the door. The next morning, I woke up and my stomach hurt. Not sharp pain, just a dull, empty feeling. I went to the kitchen. The padlock was still on the fridge. The combination lock was still on the pantry. Mom was standing at the counter drinking a glass of water. No food on the table, no food anywhere. I opened the cabinets above the sink. Empty. They'd cleaned them out. I opened the drawers. Empty except for silverware and napkins. I asked Mom, "Where's all the food?" She said, "Your father hid it." I asked, "Where?" She didn't answer. She just walked out of the kitchen. I tried the basement door. Locked. I tried the back door. Locked. I tried the windows in the living room. They wouldn't open. I looked closer. Someone had hammered nails through the frames into the window sashes. Big nails, 8-inch nails. You couldn't pull them out without a crowbar. I went back to my room and lay on my bed. My stomach kept hurting. At dinner time, Dad cooked a steak. I watched him from the living room. He stood at the stove with the cast iron pan. The steak sizzled. The smell filled the whole house. Matt sat on the couch with his arms crossed. Emma sat on the floor with her knees to her chest. Dad and Mom sat at the dining room table. They ate the steak. They ate mashed potatoes. They ate green beans. They chewed with their mouths closed, but I could still hear it, the soft, wet sounds of food breaking down. Emma started crying, not loud, just tears running down her cheeks. She didn't wipe them away. Dad didn't look at her. That night, I couldn't sleep. My stomach made noises, growling sounds. I pressed my hand against my belly and felt it rumble. I thought about the basement. I thought about the locked doors. I thought about the nails in the windows. I thought about how long a person can live without food. I didn't know the answer. By the third day, the hunger wasn't just in my stomach anymore. It was in my head. I couldn't think about anything except food. I kept remembering meals I'd eaten weeks ago. A hamburger from a fast food place, a slice of pizza, a bowl of cereal. I could taste them. I could smell them. But they weren't real. I tried to call 911. My phone was dead. The charger was gone. I checked Matt's room. His phone was gone too. I checked the living room. The landline cord had been pulled out of the wall. The jack was empty. I asked Mom where the charger was. She said, "Your father took them." I asked, "Why?" She said, "Because you'd call someone." She walked away. That afternoon, I tried to break the pantry door. I put my shoulder into it. The door didn't move. The frame was solid. The lock held. I tried 3 more times. On the 4th try, I hit the door with my fist. I broke a knuckle. The skin split. Blood ran down my hand. Matt came into the kitchen and looked at the door. He looked at the lock. He looked at the screws in the hasp. Then he walked away. Emma was on the couch now. She wasn't moving much. She had a blanket over her. Her face was pale. Her lips were dry and cracked. She had stopped asking for food the day before. I sat next to her. I said, "It's going to be okay." She didn't answer. That night, Dad made spaghetti. He boiled the noodles in a big pot. He heated sauce in another pan. The smell was thick and hot, and it filled every room. I sat on the floor of the living room and breathed through my mouth so I wouldn't smell it as much. It didn't work. Dad and Mom ate at the dining room table. They ate slowly. They twirled the noodles on their forks. They wiped sauce from their lips with napkins. Matt sat on the couch and stared at the wall. After dinner, Dad walked past me. He was carrying his plate to the kitchen. There was still sauce on it, a little bit, red and orange. I looked at the plate. I looked at Dad. He looked at me. He kept walking. I went to the bathroom and locked the door. I opened the medicine cabinet. There was toothpaste. I squeezed some onto my finger and put it in my mouth. It tasted like mint and chemicals. I swallowed it. My stomach cramped. I waited 5 minutes. The cramp went away. I squeezed more toothpaste onto my finger. More. I ate half the tube. Then I drank water from the faucet until my stomach felt full. 20 minutes later, I threw up in the toilet. The vomit was white and green and smelled like soap. I flushed it and went back to the living room. Day 4. Day 5. Day 6. I lost track. Matt didn't talk anymore. He just sat in the corner of the living room with his back to the wall. His eyes were open, but he wasn't looking at anything. His cheekbones were sticking out. His wrists were thin. I could see the bones in his hands. Emma stopped getting off the couch. Her eyes were half open. Her breathing was shallow. I put my hand on her forehead. It felt cold. I went to the stairs. I climbed to the second floor. I stood outside my parents' bedroom door. I could hear them inside. Dad's voice, low. I couldn't make out the words. Then Mom's voice, also low. I knocked. The voices stopped. I said, "Emma is sick. She needs food. Just a little bit. Just a cracker." No answer. I said, "Please." Dad said, "Go back downstairs." I stood there for another minute. Then I went back downstairs. That night, I heard the basement door open, footsteps on the stairs. The basement door closed. I lay on the floor and listened to the sounds. Cans opening, a cabinet closing, a spoon on a bowl. I put my hands over my ears. Day 10. I woke up on the living room floor. I didn't remember falling asleep. My mouth was dry. My tongue felt thick and swollen. I tried to stand. My legs shook. I fell back down. Emma was on the couch. Her eyes were open, but she wasn't looking at anything. Her chest moved. Once. Long pause. Again. Matt was standing in the middle of the room. I hadn't heard him get up. He was holding a lamp from the end table, a ceramic lamp with a heavy base. He had pulled the cord out of the wall. He walked to the stairs. He climbed them. I heard his footsteps on the carpet. Then I heard him at the bedroom door. I heard the door hit the wall. He must have kicked it open. Then I heard Dad yell, "What are you?" Then I heard the lamp hit something. The sound was loud. It was a hard sound, like hitting a pumpkin with a baseball bat. Then another hit. Then another. Then nothing. I crawled to the stairs. I pulled myself up one step at a time. My arms shook. My knees scraped the carpet. It took me a long time. When I got to the top, Matt was standing in the hallway. The lamp was on the floor. The base was cracked. There was blood on his hands. There was blood on his shirt. There was blood on his face. Small drops. like someone had flicked a wet brush at him. He looked at me. His eyes were wide. His mouth was open. He was breathing hard. He said, "I got the closet open." I crawled past him into the bedroom. Dad was on the floor. His head was on the carpet. His face was covered in blood. His nose was pushed to one side. His eyes were closed. There was blood on the wall behind him, red streaks, dark red. Mom was sitting on the bed. Her back was against the headboard. Her hands were in her lap. There was blood on her nightgown. She was looking straight ahead at the wall. She wasn't moving. She wasn't blinking. The walk-in closet door was open. The lock was broken. The wood around the latch was splintered. I crawled inside. There were cans on the shelves. Dozens of cans. Soup, beans, tuna, Spam. There were boxes of crackers. There were jars of peanut butter. There were bottles of water. Plastic bottles. 24 of them, stacked in rows. I grabbed a bottle of water. I unscrewed the cap. I drank. The water went down my throat. My stomach clenched. I kept drinking. Half the bottle. I stopped because I was choking. I grabbed a can of chicken noodle soup. The pop-top lid. I pulled the tab. The lid came off. I drank the broth. It was cold. It was salty. It burned my throat. I kept drinking until the can was empty. Then I grabbed another can. When I went back to the hallway, Matt was sitting on the floor next to Emma. He had a jar of peanut butter. He was scooping it out with his fingers and putting it in her mouth. She was swallowing. Slowly, but she was swallowing. He looked up at me. He said, "She's going to be okay." He smiled. It was a small smile. His lips were cracked. There was blood on his teeth. I went back to the closet. I grabbed more cans. I brought them to the living room. I opened them. I ate. I ate until I couldn't swallow anymore. Then I drank more water. I sat on the floor next to Emma. Matt was still feeding her peanut butter. Her eyes were still open, but now they moved. She looked at me. She blinked. 2 days later, a neighbor called the police. The neighbor said our house smelled bad. The police came. They knocked. Matt opened the door. He was wearing a clean shirt. His hands were clean. The police asked where our parents were. Matt pointed upstairs. They found Dad on the bedroom floor. He had been dead for 2 days. The medical examiner said he died from blunt force trauma to the head. The lamp was still on the floor. They found Mom on the bed. She hadn't moved. She was still sitting with her back against the headboard. She hadn't eaten or drunk anything since Matt killed Dad. She was dehydrated. They took her to the hospital. The police asked Matt what happened. Matt said, "I hit him with the lamp. He was starving us." They asked me what happened. I said the same thing. They took Matt to the police station. He was charged with manslaughter. He was 17. They charged him as a juvenile. I went to a foster home. Emma went to a different foster home. I don't see her much. Mom is in a psychiatric hospital. The doctors say she has something wrong with her brain. They say she might have been sick for a long time. They say she might not have been able to say no to Dad. Matt writes me letters from juvenile detention. He says he's fine. He says he doesn't have nightmares. He says he dreams about the sound the lamp made when it hit Dad's head. He says the sound was like a can of soda opening. I don't write back. I don't know what to say. I think about that closet a lot. The cans on the shelves, the bottles of water, the way my mother sat on the bed and watched Matt kill Dad, the way she didn't move, the way she didn't scream. I think about the hunger, the way it felt in my stomach, the way it felt in my head, the way it made me eat toothpaste and soap. I'm not hungry anymore. The foster parents give me 3 meals a day. I eat all of them. I eat until my stomach hurts. Then I stop. Then I eat again at the next meal. I don't know if I'll ever stop thinking about it. Probably not.